Hey, and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to illustrate how I do a swing review. I find it important to record your swing and then check it. When I check a swing, I typically just run it against my swing sequence and see if they're getting out of order or out of position. The golf swing is fluid, so when I talk about these positions, I'm not talking about trying to stop in them or even hit them per se. The golf swing should simply move through these positions. And when you don't, you have to try to figure out why. So as I talk about this swing, I'm going to try not to be too critical, but I am going to point out when it doesn't hit a position, especially if that position drastically affects the next position. We begin with the takeaway, and this is a nice long one-piece takeaway. This is the takeaway that Tiger and Butch described in the video I posted about Tiger's secret. Basically, his focus was on keeping the right hand high, and you're doing a great job here. From this position until you get to the down the line position, your wrist should start to set. Most golfers have the club at least vertical here. As you'll see, Rory's hands don't further set as he goes further into the swing. This setting of the hands sets the whole swing up to release power. This isn't inherently an issue, except for the fact that you don't complete setting your hands until after you start your downswing. From the top of the backswing, you're going to start a motion towards the target, rotating instead of letting your hands drop. This early motion of the hips and shoulders starting is going to try to force your hands outside while you fight to keep it inside and keep the arm tucked. Meanwhile, Rory sits down to allow his hands to drop down into the slot. Everything else you've done so far is playable. This is where you run into a swing flaw. This is where it all culminates into the reason for this video. Your hips have flung open early, and your left knee has both swayed and turned towards the target while your rear arm is getting trapped behind your body. This often happens when someone attempts a drill where they place a head cover underneath their armpit. So notice the difference in these two positions. Rory is still turned with his back towards the target, and he still has the structure of the down the line position while you've collapsed your arms against your body because your shoulders opened before the hands caught up. And that left knee leaning forward is part of the cause. But from here, you're going to throw your hands forward and the club forward to try to get a path. You've also released or have pre-released most of your lag at this point. It's because you had nowhere to go but outside. So the hands trying to help you out force the lag. Now earlier, I noted that your hips got in front, but now your arms have caught up. Your hips should be starting to turn down the line at impact. Also notice that your grip has changed from where you started. It's super strong reaching under. This is what's causing the hooks. The rear hand, or the right hand in this case, should always be sitting on top of that thumb. You really shouldn't be able to see it. As you can see at impact, you have forward shaft lean, but there is no angle between the hands and the club, which means your body is allowed to turn the club over during impact. By the time we reach the next frame, your hands have turned all the way over. Whenever possible, we want to control our hands and not allow them to turn over until after we hit the ball. Here you notice Rory has forward shaft lean, but he also has not allowed the club to catch up, so he hasn't turned it over. And post-impact, he still has not turned it over. Most long ball strikers don't turn their hands over until around a 45-degree angle forward like this. You should look for this in your swing videos. I have caught a lot of slack for the comment that the finish happened. But what I mean by that is I don't typically force a finish when I'm teaching, because the finish often tells me what's going on throughout the swing. For example, I know that Rory's grip was moderately neutral because of how he finished. And in the same sense, your left hand palming forward is usually a very strong grip. So the main problem of your right arm getting stuck outside happens for a couple reasons. The first, your hips open so early, it leaves your hands and arms behind you. Second, I think you're actively trying to force an inside to out swing. You need to allow space for your arms to get in front of you. There are a couple swing thoughts for this. My primary swing thought is to try to keep the hands in front of the club. Chipping balls with just your right hand will also help. I've seen Tiger using this drill on the range. Second, you need to neutralize this grip a little bit. This is always going to force you to turn your hands over strong. Both the gap and the reaching under with the right hand. In this case, your hands are not working together, they're working against each other. So you have to try to get them closer together Take a look at my grip video. That will help you understand where the hand should be positioned in a proper grip. I personally look at Jon Rahm when I want to make a swing change because it's small, compact, and it fits my body style, type, and age better. However, for this segment, I'm going to go through Rory since I used him the whole time, and most people think Rory has the most beautiful swing on the market. So let's start with the grip at address. His hands are forward, but his grip is neutral. Hands are snug together, and the right hand is sitting on top of the left thumb. There is no space, like I pointed out with your grip. His grip does not change throughout the swing. It's imperative that you get a good grip and you maintain it. Your takeaway was actually great. So keep following Rory's takeaway, Tiger's takeaway. Keep the right hand high and try to move away from the ball without changing the angles of your hand to the club until you get to about 45 degrees. If you check out my How Far Can We Chip or my ball striking video where I go from a pressed chip to a half shot, I think you should start hitting balls from there. The goal is to get that right arm out. In other words, as far as the left arm can reach in the turn, allow the right arm to go with it. One of the swing feels I usually teach is when your left shoulder is pointed at the ball, try to replace that position with your right shoulder. This is a great feeling to get your arms to pull properly from the top. The next feeling would be trying to get your hands through the ball ahead of the club, like in this clip. Virtually any professional you can Google, if you watch their swing, their hands are in front just like this. The club won't turn over until it catches up, so you'll ensure that you have control of the club face. Now, assuming you've neutralized your grip, it will help with this turnover at the end. Try to move yourself away from the ball a little to give yourself space for this finish, and keep checking to see if you're finishing with your palm saying hello or both hands high like you're holding the flag. It's really important at this point that you extend your mouse to click on the subscribe button and then release. That release is the most important part of this whole video, at least for me. As you can see, us amateurs and the professionals have a varying degree of hitting proper positions. But this is how you should analyze your own swing and then start to condition yourself to hit some of these points. That doesn't mean force yourself into those positions. It means make sure you flow through them. But most importantly, press and send.